Welcome, everybody.
Hey, guys.
One of the things I just want to walk over. So this is the thing that you really want to get to, right? This is the crown jewel. This is your budget variance report.
Okay.
By putting in your end of day, right? It'll populate here. When you do inventory, it's going to pull out your usage. Just going to, look at your ending inventory, your beginning inventory plus your purchases minus ending inventory, and this is going to give you your use, right, for the week. Then when you do labor allotment, it puts it in here, and then here it all combines it.
Okay.
So if you look from what we projected, you beat your projection by $600 for the week, so that is awesome. Then your cost of goods, you were targeted at a 31.4, you ran a 25.13, so you beat your target by $971.
Cool.
That's awesome. Your payroll expense, so we had you targeted at 12.7, you ran 11.91. So you beat that by 122. This labor is not any salaries. This is only hourly. So then it comes down and then it breaks it down by front of the house, back of the house, salaries, and then it actually your benefits, taxes, and insurance. And then here's your prime cost. Your target prime cost was 59%. You ran a 52.3. So that's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Good job, Jay. Or me. I don't know. One or the other.
Both of you guys. Good job to the entire restaurant.
Yeah, it's all
Not Danny. No good job for Danny, though, Jay. No. That's my son, Danny.
So let's go ahead and go into your inventory now. So you did get your inventory entered on a timely manner. So great job about that, Mark. Now there is a few other things that are missing currently. Now, I went ahead and sent you the sheet again, and what I've done is perfect. I entered some notes for you. Now, these notes, like, for example, I only could find black tea and orange tea, so that's what I plugged in there. But something like this. So you let us know that it's called number 10 checkered. In the actual system, it's called tray food, so that's why we weren't able to find it. Here are all my spoons. Now, for this specific one, I believe it's to-go plastics, and I can see you do have a bunch of different spoons. I've Googled all of these, and they look like they're the actual metal spoons, and then you did have one plastic spoon.
Ones. That's
Yeah, but for whatever reason, I'm not seeing it. But what I want you to do is go ahead and just look for it in your product system first before you start filling out the product information. And then just tell me that the product ID number, which is right over here. If you do find it, just tell me that's what it is. Like, for example, poly, I try to look for it everywhere. I do not know if it is in the system or not, to be honest, because there is a lot of different things under poly. And I wasn't sure specifically what it was. But you may just want to do that. I would do that first, and then I would go in there and fill out the rest of these columns right over here if you cannot find it.
Okay.
Like margarita bottles. So you do have a bunch of bottles in the system. But the only thing is I have no idea which one is the actual margarita bottles.
I got you.
Yeah, because like this bottle square clear 24 ounce, it may be it, but I don't think so. But yeah, just go ahead and do that first. And then you can start filling out this.
Yeah, that's a squeeze bottle, what it looks like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, these aren't, I don't see the name of the company where I get them from on this list. So.
And then ice cream. So ice cream, I found 2 of them. And here's the only issue with your ice cream. This is the brand deluxe, I believe it is. Something along the lines of that. But I have no idea what that is. Is it vanilla?
I don't know. We just get it at Kroger. It's just a regular Kroger ice cream, nothing.
And what we're about to do is going over the usage report. Now, here's the thing. Ideal versus actual. That's the next thing that we need to start on, but we can't do that until recipes are entered into the system. So it's kind of like a 2-in-1 combo that we need to get done before we can proceed with all of that good stuff. Now, that being said, we can still start looking at the usage report now, and that way you'll have a better understanding once we go full force into it with the POS report. And we can still analyze the negatives and see what you're counting wrong in your inventory. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you from start to finish on how to look at the usage report. Now, please note, I will say this is going to be a lot of different steps that you're going to have right now, and we're going to do this together for at least a month, over a month. And just doing it every single call and just looking at it, analyzing it together. That's what I typically do until you understand it fully. So whatever I go through today, just know it is a lot of information and that you're not, that you may not retain it all. Okay? So the first thing I like to do is I like to go to our budget variance report under prime cost, just like how we did earlier, and that's the very first thing that I'll do. So right now we're currently on the week of the 7th through the 13th, so you're going to go ahead and just pull this report. This is what gives me a good idea of exactly where you're at in the system and what to focus on. So let's just say, for example, food is $893.56 under budget. That's awesome, but we want to make sure if that's actually accurate in the system or not. And so there's two things that you could do right now. After you've analyzed the budget variance report, you could go straight into the usage report. But if there's something that you're still not understanding why it's off, I like to look at the cost of goods sold under prime cost. And for this one, you pull it Sunday to Sunday instead of Monday through Sunday. So I'll pull the 6th through the 13th. And this gives you a full breakdown of your inventory. For the sake of making your life a little bit easier of how you're viewing this report, you can look at it all with all categories. I'm just going to select food just so it's easier to look on this call. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just go over these columns, and that way they make a little bit more sense to you. Now, the first column I see is going to be beginning inventory. So it's saying that I started with $2,466.36 worth of beginning inventory. During this week period, I purchased $4,133 worth, and my ending inventory was $3,171. The math behind our usage report, as well as our cost of goods sold, is your beginning inventory plus your purchases minus ending inventory to give you your usage. So this usage column, with your sales of $13,507, it's saying that you guys used $3,428 worth of food. So that's where that's coming from. This is your cost of goods sold percentage. So we're aiming to hit, this is going to be your current cost of goods sold percentage. So we're right now hitting a 25.38% for food. Our average inventory, that's just the difference between your beginning and ending inventory, is $2,800. Now, please note, you see how your beginning and ending inventory, they're not exact, but they're pretty close to each other?
Mm-hmm.
So let's just say that I'm looking at your usage report, and I see that in your budget variance report that you're over budget, for example, or you're under budget by an extreme amount. The first thing I do is look at this cost of goods sold report. And if I see a big inventory change and you're not purposely trying to change your inventory, then that's going to be a red flag. So if I see one week it's $2,500 versus another week it's $5,000, I may question it and just make sure it's accurate if I'm not trying to increase my inventory.
Gotcha.
Now, we have the inventory turns. The easiest way to explain this is the amount of times that you basically empty your shelves and refill your shelves. And then the more that you're doing inventory and the more accurate your inventory is, you'll get a better number of the inventory turn amount. Now, your inventory change, this is what I was just referring to. If I see something that's like $2,000 difference, especially when it's something like bottled beer, you don't have that much bottled beer, then that's going to be a red flag for me, and there's probably something wrong with my inventory. My budgeted target for my food is going to be 32%. And with that amount of sales, that $13,000, it's telling me that you should have used $4,300 worth, but you actually used this amount. And so that's what gives us our variance of almost $900. Usage report. This is one of my all-time favorite reports. Now, just looking at this, you're going to be able to identify a lot of issues that you may or may not have in your inventory. Mm-hmm. Now, the first thing I want to do is I'm going to go to food systems and go to usage report. Like I said, beginning inventory plus your purchases minus ending inventory. What that means to you is you have to have basically 4 things in the system for this to be 100% accurate for the previous week. Like how you look at the budget variance report, you're always looking at the usage report 1 week behind. So you have to have both a beginning and ending inventory, all of your invoices and paid outs in the system, as well as end of day updated in your system. The end of day report does not correlate with your usage report, but it does feed into your cost of goods sold report. So that's where that comes into. So under food systems, I went to usage report. For today, I'm not going to show you this file import because that's how I import my PMix report from my POS system. Today, I'm just going to select the beginning inventory of the 6th, and I'm going to select my ending inventory of the 13th and click on load report. Before I show you how to actually analyze this report, I'm going to explain all these different columns to you and what they mean. So the first column that you're going to see on the very left-hand side is going to be your product name column. You can see if it's a grouped item that it's going to say grouped. I have my category name, my vendor, my unit size versus my pack size. So I will say, although this pack size column is here, I don't tend to look at it. I actually like taking that column out because it sometimes confuses people, because it can say, for example, if it's a 50 average of beef, but it's actually 1 pound, the unit size will always be the accurate one. Now for the this one right over here, you can see the date range is kind of cut off. Just know that this one will always be your beginning inventory, and you'll see the date range right over here, and the right side will always be your ending inventory. I have my price. Now, when you're looking at this, the price always has to correlate with the unit size. I have my purchases. This is how much I purchased for the week of the 6th to the 13th of that specific item. My extension. My extension is going to be how much I actually use, which is this actual usage column, multiplied by the price to give me my extension. So I bought 2.5 40-pound cases of this jumbo wings for $102.52. I used $256.3 for the week. Now, my ideal, you're going to ignore this for right now. This is where your POS comes into play, and it shows you what you actually ideally rung up in your POS system. And then the variance is correlating with that as well. Now, waste sheet is something that we're going to start doing very soon, but your waste sheet items will correlate with the usage report as well. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show you how to actually filter this. There's going to be an extension column, and I know Gino likes to look at this in Excel format, and I'll show you how to export this as well. But when you're looking in the actual system, you're going to always start with the ascending. So under the extension column, you have 2 different filters when you click on this little arrow icon, ascending and descending. Ascending is going to be your negative items. I'm going to click on that first just to show you what it is. So right over here, you can see once I selected that, here are all my negative items. We always start with the negatives first and then move on to anything that to the descending. Also, if your cost of goods sold is under budget, you're going to go ahead and make sure that you fully analyze the negative usage. And if you're over budget, you want to analyze the descending usage. No matter what, you're always going to look at both filters, but just a heads up so you know what to look for. Under this category column, this is a great way for me to be able to identify that something is coded wrong. Today I was in your system, for example, and something was coded under food systems when it was bottled beer, and it's an easy way for me to be able to identify it when I'm looking over here. I don't tend to focus right now until we're a little bit further into inventory on restaurant supplies because they're not applying to your cost of goods sold. So I'm going to filter this to just food using this category name column. And then now that I'm filtered to food, if you or I see anything that's absolutely not food, you just let me know. All right, so chicken tenders. This is how I analyze looking at this. The first thing I'm going to do is look at the unit size and make sure it correlates with the price. I buy 40 pounds for $71.93, so that part's accurate. Now, I started with 0.5 of a case. I purchased 2 cases, but I somehow ended up with 12.5 cases. So it could be a couple different scenarios. It's either your beginning inventory is wrong, your ending inventory is wrong. Did you guys really have 12.5 cases of this, or you're missing a purchase? Now, for this specific item, I think it's going to be the ending inventory.
I think it's 1.25 probably. I don't have my paperwork in front of me, but
not a big deal. So what we can do now, and we always like starting to look at this as soon as you're done entering your inventory. The reason why is I automatically identified that so quick, and now I can go back and recount it if I need to.
Right.
So I'm going to go into inventory, and I'm going to open up the 13th, and I'm going to look for the tenderloin. From there, I see the issue. So you see how it's supposed to be 5 cases of 10 pounds instead of 50 pounds? Yep, yeah. Or 50 cases. So I'll just do the difference. And you know what? Everyone makes mistakes, but this is how we can go ahead and fix our mistakes and identify them. And so it's, it's not a big deal that you entered it wrong. Just remember to go back and look at the usage report.
Gotcha.
Off the bat, as soon as I refresh that, it's gone because we fixed it. And it was $700 negative. And so that's a big difference. Now, this next one, it's pepperoni. It's 10 pounds for $32.79. You started with 1 case. You purchased 0 cases, and you ended with 2. Either your beginning inventory is wrong, or your ending inventory, or you're missing a purchase, or maybe you forgot to inventory a specific a package. One last thing, Mark. What I'm going to do is, because it's not grouped under product name, I'm going to filter and just search for pep. And I just want to make sure we don't have another pepperoni that we may need to group together that was substituted and that we purchased.
No.
And it looks like there's not. So any idea for this specific item?
Counted wrong. It was probably me.
Any questions or concerns about negative usage items?
No, I get it.
Okay, perfect. So next, what we'll do is we're going to click on the extension column, and we're going to click on descending. Now, the difference between your ascending and ascending is your negative items that you grew by. Descending is going to be your top used items. And so when we're really over budget, we're going to analyze our top 10 items and try to figure out what it is within that top 10 items. And also, no matter what your sales are, if they're higher or lower for the week, unless you're doing a big catering event, your top 10 items should be very consistent. And so if I see something in here that I know for a fact that's not one of my top 10, then I know off the bat that there's something off with it. So a couple of different things that you want to do. I know these hamburger stuff that we just entered into inventory for you today, and so this one makes sense. But I'm just going to show you as a scenario. So it says it's your number 2 most used items, and I know you do have a lot of different buns in here. And so you can see it's $72 each for $31.26. We started with 0. We purchased 9 cases and ended with 0. So it's saying it's your number 2 most used item for the week, and you can see that it says we actually used 9 cases of that. Is that accurate for you guys within a week? Because I know we didn't inventory it.
4, 5,
So the cornmeal dusted.
2, 4, 6, probably, yeah, like 7, 6, 7, 8 cases.
Okay. No problem. So if that being said, then we know that we typically on average use 7, but it says 9. We're going to start looking further into it. And then I would typically have you guys just recount your inventory and just make sure that ending inventory that just passed by is accurate if we can't figure out our beginning inventory. But that's exactly what you want to start looking for, is identifying under the actual usage column anything that sticks out to you that's a little bit higher than what you guys are normally using. If you guys are not using, let's just say, 115.8 pounds of ground beef in 1 week with both the beginning and ending inventory at 0, then we obviously know that there's going to be an issue.
Real quick,
With this one, sorry, go ahead.
the ground beef, you see you got that one at 80%, and then look at the top. You got ground beef, that's 81.19. Is that the same thing? Y'all use it for the same recipe?
Yeah, we only use the 81.19.
Okay.
Because you did purchase this one.
When I run out of beef, usually on the weekend, I go to Restaurant Depot for a case. That's why we got that.
So we just have to group those two.
Yeah. And it's the same thing with the wings, I've noticed, because wings, same thing on the weekend. We'll get U.S. food, but then we'll go to Restaurant Depot for those party wings.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did see actually another wing. Oh, perfect, right over there. Yeah, but just looking at this report, we were able to identify inventory that was wrong, pack sizes that are wrong, grouped items that need to be grouped into it, and all of that good stuff. And so it's pretty amazing what you can do with the usage report once you fully start analyzing it. And one day, Jay, you're going to be able to start analyzing this on your own and looking at this every single Tuesday morning or as soon as inventory is entered. Any questions?
No. I mean, it'll all make sense as we get further in, because as long as we get all the inventory in correctly anyway.
So right now, the biggest thing is going to be getting your recipe costing cards entered so you can start mapping out your MPG POS import. Your MPG POS import, that's where we import your PMix report and you map out your recipe costing cards to your POS buttons. And then as soon as we're done with that, we're going to start analyzing our deal versus actual usage. But for the meantime, we can just start looking at this just to get a better idea of what we need to fix in the system, what needs to be changed with inventory and all that good stuff.
Okay. Everything's great. It's getting there.
Awesome. Well, any other questions for today's call?
No, I'm good.
All right. So what I'm going to do is let me go into your system and group some of those for the items. I'm going to send Jay an email to schedule a call with me next week. I don't know if you want to be on it, Mark. No problem. If not, just to go over recipe costing cards and just have some recipe costing cards ready, Jay. Just maybe have a batch recipe ready and then an item recipe that correlates with that batch recipe. All right, guys. Well, have a great day. I'll talk to you next week. And then just don't forget, Gino's going to be gone. And so it's just going to be you and I next week.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good then. Gino, Merry Christmas. We didn't get to
Hey,
tell you.
Merry Christmas to y'all.
You enjoy your time off, your weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever you're doing. But
Yeah.
you have a good time.
Weeks. Wait, no, we do months.
Months? Okay. We'll see you in March. All right. We'll see you next
All
week,
right, bye,
Brittany.
everyone.
All
All right,
bye.
thank
See
you.
you
Bye,
later.
everyone.